Welcome back, everyone. It's Stray Faye here with another episode of Cafe Enchante. Alright, we're in Chapter 3 of Ignis's Route. We learned a lot of confusing points, I feel like, in Chapter 2. There's like that whole thing about the Minotaurs entering the human world. They come from Bestia. They keep entering through these like various wormholes that conveniently lead to the area around where Kotone and Ignis live. So all that is like super sus. like how are these wormholes just conveniently popping up at like the right place at the right time? And then we had Kotone get like kidnapped and like thrown through the door of Enchante into Bestia. And they didn't say who it was, but like I could kind of guess who it was because they've implied that it can't be a Minotaur because they're too big to go through the door. So that just like leaves one other person who it could be. But we don't know why they did it. And then we had like the last big revelation that Ignis is a killer, or at least he has killed in the past because he like lost his mind and just went on a rampage and he doesn't remember any of it. And that's why like everyone is scared of him and everyone wants to kill him in Bestia, which is like kind of the pot calling the kettle black, because like this is what everyone else is doing in Bestia. So that's kind of like, I feel like that, like you can't be blamed for that, I guess. But that's where we're at right now. So I'm kind of waiting to see how this story turns out. All right, let's begin. That night, we managed to make it back safely. To alleviate our exhaustion, we decided to rest in our respective bedrooms. As for the Minotaurs we saw jumping into the wormhole before the Ignis's revelation, Canis and the GPM agents who stood guard had already taken them all into custody. Okay, they can't cause any havoc now. A day later, all of the exhaustion I accumulated in that freezing world finally began to leave me. I got up out of bed, but I couldn't shake the anxious thoughts. One thought more than the others.
Because you're a killer. Remember the raid on your stronghold. The raiding beasts and your fellow firewolves, all of them. The revelations,
The revelations from the Minotaur and... Hey, Uncle! Say something! This isn't funny! Tell him how I drove the invaders away without killing anyone! You're the one who told me that when I was little. I'm sorry, Ignis, but... you know it to be true. Your repressed memories are not mistaken. What is this? The image of Ignis's distraught face was burned in my mind. Ignis. We immediately headed to our respective rooms after getting here, but I haven't spoken to him since. In fact, I don't think he ever made eye contact with me. Cute. Koro, perhaps out of worry, slept next to me in my bed, nestling his soft, plump body against mine. Thanks to her, I could finally wake from my half-asleep, half-dreaming state of consciousness. Thanks, Kororo. I guess it's no use for me to dwell about it. I patted him as a gesture of thanks. Cure. Food. Okay, Kara, learning words for food. Huh? My fingertips froze, processing Kara's abrupt demonstration of speech. Food! Ignis! Food? Ignis! Koro eagerly flapped his hands and his tail, repeating those two words. Part of me started to think that it was a desperate plea. What? Food? You want some food? Are you saying you want me to feed you like I did for Ignis? The thing is, I had never heard or seen Koro nag me for food like this before. But because he was, I picked them up and we headed down to the kitchen. I placed slices of raw fish onto a plate that Koro might eat, since he resembled a seal, and I figured seals enjoyed fresh fish. But... Chewy! Koro expressed no interest in the fish. Instead, he shied away from it, completely disinterested. Huh? I took it to mean he wasn't hungry, but... Was he just repeating some words he recently learned? It was unclear to me what he meant by those words. As I was completing my mise en place for today's breakfast menu, let's see, some sort of turn phrase. The regulars began to arrive. Rindo came in rather early, and Dromy, who accompanied him. Miser, back from the demon world. Canis, who held down the Minotaurs yesterday, and the somewhat sleepy-looking Ill, and... the forlorn Ignis, thus completing the party. As we all partook in the meal, I recounted what had happened the previous day to Miser and the others. Then, after I finished my synopsis, Miser fell into a deep thought. So, Ignis is a dangerous and abnormal beast, and they've put a target on his back? Defeat him at all costs, huh? Well, look who's talking. Aren't those bulls even more dangerous? Exactly, that's what I said. It's like this is a pot calling the kettle black here. Candace appeared to be in agreement, nodding calmly but affirmatively. However, it seems strange to think of their story as a hoax, seeing how reckless they're being. The wormholes that the Minotaurs are using are one-way tickets. Once they fall in, that's it. Which means they have no means of returning home. Isn't that bizarre? Well, you're right. Those guys shouldn't know about the GPM wormhole or the gate located here. Which means they're taking drastic steps to get at my bro. So, setting aside the truth of the matter, as long as this odd notion that Ignis is a threat exists as an impetus, Minotaurs will jump into every wormhole they can find in order to raid this town. Is that correct? So it seems. By the way, are you okay, Ill? You seem a little out of it. Oh, it's nothing. I'm simply recovering from yesterday's overexertion. Please, carry on. Miser picked up where they left off. For now, if Enchante and its surrounding areas are under threat of a deadly act, then we can't just sit idly by either. The beasts themselves aren't a big problem for us, but they absolutely will be for the innocent people living here. Then, Ignis, who maintained silence this whole time, finally opened his mouth. Easy. I just gotta remove myself from this place. Problem solved. But that's... Out of reflex, I interjected, but before I can complete my thought... Out of the question. Huh? That's out of the question, Ignis. Getting rid of you won't solve anything. Think about it. You've got the biggest appetite here. If you disappeared, then Enchante would run out of business. Is that what he's worried about? As a result, if this place were to close its doors, that would be a catastrophe, wouldn't it? That's right. Besides, the Minotaurs are the troublemakers here. You have done nothing wrong. I don't think it's appropriate to consider you the problem here. Haha, I hope I'm not overstepping any bounds here, but you don't sound like yourself, Ignis. Shut up! Although it was undeniable that his demeanor was atypical, Ignis was unwilling to argue his stance any further. After listening to their exchange, I let out a heavy sigh of relief. Everyone thinks of Ignis as an integral part of this place. Enchante was a home away from home for them, and kicking him out was absolutely out of the question. I'm glad. As I muttered under my breath. I locked eyes with Ignis, who seemed to have picked up on my voice. But... he remained speechless and blithely turned away. I knew it. He had been avoiding me since the previous night. I just knew it. Let's get back on track. The Minotaurs and their rampages are a threat to the human world. Under no circumstances can they continue. I believe we should take action. You guys don't have to get involved. This is between me and Bestia. I'll clean up my own mess. Oh dear. You seem determined to do everything by yourself today, don't you? So tell us, how exactly do you plan to solve this issue? Have you any idea at all where the Minotaurs are hiding? Besides, if we delay taking action for too long, other beasts may become privy to the wormholes linking this world and theirs. By that point, the Minotaurs won't be the only beasts requiring our attention in the human world. Hey bro, maybe you should lighten up and let them help you here. It doesn't seem like brute force will be enough to handle this issue. There are millions of beasts out there starting to take interest in this world, and who knows what wars or disaster awaits. Miser and the others considered Ignis's silence as a silent agreement. So they carried on discussing a plan of action. So let's sort this out. I see two possible options for us. First, we could find a way to close up all the wormholes that link Bestia to this town. That would be the best case scenario, though likely unfeasible. Wormholes are largely unexplored phenomenon that even we here are not fully equipped to deal with. True. Plus, with the incident at Amasaki Island, it's not like I can close up any wormhole on a whim, even if I wanted to. Then at least, perhaps what we should do is preemptively identify where they could be hiding, and prepare for a beast invasion. But that would put us on the defensive, in which case... Yep, the second option would be for us become the big prize. Or for us to become the big prize. We'll have to eliminate the entire reason the Minotaurs have for coming to the human world. Which means, if we can eliminate the notion that they must eliminate Ignis at all costs, then they wouldn't have to come here in the first place, right?
That's right. If we can find some way to redirect their ire, then perhaps we'll spare this world from becoming a battleground.
The reason the Minotaurs started targeting Ignis all of a sudden was...
No other beasts lose control of themselves or rampage other than you. Beasts are self-centered and cruel. For that precise reason, they never go berserk. Each retains their sanity. However, you are different. You fight, you go berserk, run rampant, and kill. You're far more dangerous than us who fight with our conscience intact.
I don't know about that. There's like a weak reason to target someone.
Seems they fear Ignis' special trait. For now, let us refer to it as his rampage instinct. We need to deal with it somehow.
Dictionary term got rampage instinct, an instinct held only by Ignis that sees Arumum as a danger. He loses his mind attacking both enemy and ally when in a rampage. So he loses control of his emotions. We wouldn't be here if I could. I figured as much. As far as I can tell, it sounds involuntary. Now I understand why Mikado was confused back then. Well, I first heard about this when I was a little kid. Wow, like the register of voice that I'm trying to use for Ignis. I just like can't get my voice down to that. So sorry if I like try to pause to try to like get water. Well, I first heard about this when I was a little kid. I guess beasts overstimulate their combat instincts if they fight too hard too long. They go mad and start raging uncontrollably. Huh? This is the first I've heard of that phenomenon. If we take the Minotaur's word for it, then we wouldn't have seen anything like it from any beast other than Ignis, but haven't we seen, like, other Minotaurs go crazy recently? I don't know. Oh, but in terms of their sanity, or lack thereof, it seems like all of the Minotaurs we've encountered were in a similar state. So, how do we explain that? I posed the question sincerely, which prompted Rindo to pull out a tablet and fiddle with it for a bit. Mikado already answered that question. Seems like he found traces of drugs in the Minotaurs. They were drugged? Right. However, he has yet to discern from where these drugs came from. Whatever those drugs were, they had to be serious. Do they even have, like, that on Bestia? There's like treachery all around. I can't trust anybody. In a nutshell, it increases their physical in exchange for their sanity. That's the kind of drug we're dealing with. Sounds a little too sophisticated to come from a beast world, so I'm assuming these drugs have come from the human world. Drugs. I could hardly fathom such a thing ever existing in Bestia. Which leads me to ask, is it from here? Exactly. Kotone knows what Kotone and I share some thoughts here. Anyway, the Minotaur is going bonkers aren't what should be concerning all of you. At the end of the day, I'm the only one who goes berserk in combat. I guess he's right. We'll have to face it. The other firewolf corroborated this too. Is there any way that this rampage instinct could be cured using Ill's magic? I might have come off as unreasonable, if not totally naive, but when I glanced over to Ill, seems he put a serious consideration to my inquiry. When it comes to psychological control, I do possess magic which can aid me, but I'm unsure if it will in our case. Especially if we're dealing with something that comprises the core of who Ignis is, in terms of his physiological response. No matter how we try to contain his power, eventually the mind will give. You have a point. Well, we can't dwell on that stuff we don't know. Let's find solutions instead. First, let's investigate his rampage instinct. Miser cut in, displaying his trademark smile. Then, in a hushed tone of voice, he spoke solemnly. Also, in the 1 in a million chance that Ignis goes on a rampage, then we would have to stop him. Since we know how tough Ignis Two Hands over here, Ignis Two Hands? What are these like nicknames they keep giving each other in this route? We have like Ill's Cage Bird. Now we got Ignis Two Hands. We have to be careful. Could be the difference between life and death. In that case, no matter where we are, we're risking a lot of collateral damage, so... As a fellow Enchante regular, or, let's be honest, as friends, we don't want that, do we? Silence hovered in the air between us. But in that silence, everyone's renewed resolve seemed to find its footing.
Very well. Perhaps we should try speaking with the other firewolves who are aware of Ignis's past.
Guess this means we're bound for Bestia. Ill, do me a favor and bundle up, got it? Yes, I'll be sure to keep that in mind this time around. Make every moment count. And so the discussion concluded. Miser and some of the others arranged for a trip to the Firewolf stronghold the very next morning. However, if I were to stay here all alone again, there's a chance that the suspicious person would return to fling me back in. So it was decided that it would be safer if I traveled with them. At the end of our discussion, as everyone arose from their seats, Ignis! I called upon him instinctively, seeing as he was the last to rise from his seat. What do you want? Nothing in particular, but... Then don't stop me. Ignis spat these words out, saying nothing else as he turned his back to me and stomped upstairs. A piece of silverware caught my eye. Sat on the edge of a plate, and I saw as it lost its balance and fell onto the table. The spot where it fell was the same where Ignis sat earlier. Oh. Then I realized the breakfast I had prepared for Ignis was hardly touched. It was left uneaten, long since cooled. Once everybody left the scene, I stared blankly for a few moments at Ignis's leftover breakfast. I tried my best that I could to make him feel at least a little better. I even used some of his favorite seasonings and whatnot, but I guess it wasn't to his liking. No, that wasn't it. At the moment, for Ignis, his entire belief system, his entire way of life had utterly crumbled. He had no strength in him to enjoy a meal. I reminded myself of this. Despite how hard I tried to convince myself, it was nevertheless impossible to lament.
Miss Owner, mind if we talk for a sec?
Just as I was succumbing to my own gloom, Dromy appeared all of a sudden behind me and called out to me. Well, what's the matter? I thought you were on your way to Bestia already.
Oh, well, something's been bothering me, so I came back, if that's okay.
What's bothering you?
It's our discussion from earlier.
I detected a hint of reservation in Dromy's voice as he opened up.
So you know how they're trying to find a way to fix my bro's instincts or whatever?
Oh, right. Does that worry you?
Can't you see? If he's the only beast that rampages like that, doesn't that make him special? I mean, maybe that's why my bro's the strongest of all time. So, taking something like that from him, something connected to who he is unbearable to think about.
I felt speechless, surprised by the sentiment behind Dromy's emotional complaint. The man I saw before me was not the usual dull and haphazard lad that he is, but instead, I saw a man who admired and wanted to protect Ignis's strength.
Of course, I get that things are kinda dangerous given the circumstances. But my bro is my bro because he's strong. It was his powers that led him to the top, and making Bestia a better place is a legacy that will follow him forever.
Dromy cried out passionately, reminding me of the heart behind Ignis's mission in life. That's...
Remember how many times he used his powers for good? To save your life? Don't you remember? And now, you just want him to change who he is. All because it's too dangerous for people here. Isn't that a little too convenient?
By this point, Dromy was almost yelling, but he made a good point. Let's see. I'll say Ignis doesn't want this. Dromy, I'm not so sure that Ignis wants things to stay as they are. He doesn't want to kill anyone. He doesn't want anyone to kill anyone. That's why he's accepted this fate. I think that's what he desires.
That might be true, but...
Dromy, if you really think of Ignis as your bro, I need you to cooperate with us. If we leave him alone and he ends up going on a rampage and kills someone, the Ignis you know and love will completely fall apart, and I'm not sure we'll get him back. I tried my best to persuade him, but he seemed unconvinced.
That's not the issue here.
He reached his emotional breaking point, taking his anger out on a nearby table.
If my bro isn't my bro anymore, then it's all for nothing. The vow he and I made will all go down the drain.
Vow? The second I asked, Dromy cut himself off. Perhaps he realized how irate he had become that he hurried to cover his mouth.
I'm sorry, I kinda lost it there. I know it's meaningless to take it out on you, Miss Owner, so I apologize. I'll head back to Bestia and cool off for a little bit. See you at the gate tomorrow.
I was flabbergasted. I'd never seen Dromy so worked up before. But it came as no surprise, given how much he idolizes Ignis's strength. I suppose it was an understandable reaction. Still, both Dromy and I cared deeply about Ignis. That much was undeniable, but our opinions for how he should proceed differ so much. If Ignis had overheard our conversation, what would he have said? Ignis's perspective. He's in his room, it looks like. He's moping. A lot of moping. There I was, laying on my bed without much to do. So I'm the only beast in all of Bestia that loses his head, huh? Everything that Minotaur and my uncle said played repeated in my head. The lies, the setup. I wondered how many times I'd replayed that scene to myself. But when I gave it some thought, even the dumbest, most knuckle-headed beasts I fought had never gone so cuckoo that they blacked out. This stuff is serious. I've had my fair share of fights. Probably even more than thought. But it never occurred to me until now. I guess I started to realize how much of a total moron I've been this whole time. What was it all for? What have I been doing? No, the real question was, what am I? Just what kind of monster am I really? I felt like a stranger in my own body. At any minute, I could lose my sanity and murder someone, friend or foe. That, to me, was scarier. I could attack anyone, as opposed to someone who killed intentionally. I'm a killer. I have killed. Other beasts, no less. Even worse, my kin, the firewolves, who I tried to protect. And Kotone. She heard it all. Well, I thought you might not want to be around me once my position in Bestia came up. But you don't care about that, do you? I'm at the top of this kill-or-be-killed world. You know that, right? What the hell's with that look? Well, be that as it may, you kept true to your creed, which means you never killed anyone, right? I just don't get how someone can hold any fear or hatred towards you, for something that you haven't even done. Oh, but it turns out that's true. Seems like I lied to her about my vow never to kill a long, long time ago. It strained me to entertain the thought. Damn! What am I doing coming back here so willy-nilly? Let's go home, Ignis. If you're going home, you should go alone. I should have pushed her away back then. No. Even before that, before she learned the truth. Kotone's warmth. I cringed to myself, thinking that I might have taken her kindness for granted this whole time. I used these two monstrous hands, stained by the blood of who knows who, to touch her. All the comforting memories that I had of Kotone were being overwritten by fearful ones. What if, on that day, at that moment, I had turned into a monster and had pointed my fangs at Kotone? Once I started down this rabbit hole, there was no turning back. Because I had already taken a dear friend's life with my hands. There's no guarantee I wouldn't do the same to Kotone. And yet, she's so weird. Why would she even take my hand after learning the truth? Why wouldn't she fear that I would kill her the moment she touched me? Why would she allow this bloodthirsty monster to sit inside her cafe? Ah, damn it! I don't know what's going on anymore! My head was ready to burst, packed to the brim with revelations and confusion. As I let my emotions get the better of me, once more the door swung open. I shot up just in time to see. Oh, it's Canis. Canis knows something about killing. Oh, it's you, Canis. Don't you know how to knock?
This is my room too, if you recall.
They're roommates.
Why are you so depressed? Usually, if I recall correctly, you would leap at the opportunity to dole out a beating on the Minotaurs with great enthusiasm.
Shut up! You don't know me!
You're right. I know nothing about you. We were born at different times, in different circumstances. We're nothing alike. However, I can tell that Kotone's mood has dropped because of your sudden need for distance.
He hit me right where it hurts. I couldn't even muster the energy to howl. Well, don't blame me. Forgive me for being a little upset about learning how a bloodthirsty murderer could fly off the handle at any moment. She's the most vulnerable of us all. How could I ever get near her?
Ignis, that is no excuse. You express all this concern for her, yet here you are, hurting her, whether you know it or not. You hardly even touched the food which she went out of her way to prepare for you.
That's...
I understand your fear. I'm not telling you to forget and act like nothing happened. But, for all of our sakes, you should be to tell Kotone your true feelings. At this rate, she'll spiral into despair. You wouldn't bother coming back here if all you wanted to do was ruin her mood.
Those were Canis' parting words before he left the room. Goddamn nosy little Doulahan. Did you really come in here just to lecture me? I don't need you, or anyone, to tell me. I'm well aware. Just as I muttered this to myself. Oh. By this point, I was growing resentful on how my stomach could howl almost as loud as I could, even now. Well, I guess I did skip breakfast. Even if it's right in front of me. Can't be helped, I suppose. Wait a minute. That's weird. I only skipped one meal. Why am I this hungry? I mean... Did I even have this much of an appetite before? When I first met the old man, no matter how exhausted I was, a single meal was enough to satisfy me, but... Alright, back to Kotone's perspective. I sat alone in my room without much ado. Goro was laying comfortably in my arms as I stared at a faint stain on my wall. This feels odd. Normally, at this hour, I start getting anxious if I'm not doing something.
Q.
It was better to close up shop at this point. My only reservation was thinking about a customer who wanted a cup of coffee. But I just can't. I didn't want to think about the leftover food, so I ran back to my room. The one who's hurting the most is supposed to be Ignis, right?
Q.
At the very least, I wanted to get my body up and moving. So I got to my feet and pulled a book from my shelf that Grandpa had left behind. Maybe I can learn a little bit about Ignis and the beasts. But... Greek mythology, ancient Egyptian mythology, Norse mythology, biblical mythology. There's so many mythologies involving animal races that it was hard to pin down.
Q.
Of course. Animals aren't like fairies, angels, or demons where their existence is limited to a certain text and regions. In that case, what if I narrow it down to mythologies that include werewolves, like Ignis? While flipping through pages, I heard someone rap on the door. The force of the knock startled me. I set the book down on my bed, leaving the page open next to Kororo. I could come in. I signaled my consent for them to enter as I rushed over to the door. Oh, hi. It's Ignis. I knew it was you, Ignis. I thought he had been completely avoiding me, but now, here he stood. It was impossible to contain my confusion. At the same time, now that he was here, I forced myself to act as normal as possible, so I began to speak. Well, what's the matter? Did you need anything? Oh, let me guess. Are you hungry? You didn't eat any of your breakfast. I'll fix you some food right now, so stay put. No. Well, I am hungry, but that's not why I'm here. Oh. Ignis took a deep breath, and with an uncharacteristically solemn voice, he said, I'm sorry for avoiding you without any explanation. And probably the most important part, wasting all the food you made. It's okay. You don't have to apologize for that. I know you were confused. Besides, you were very upset, weren't you? So it's... Even so, figured I'd man up and apologize to your face. Because no matter how things go down in tomorrow's mission, I'm never coming back to Enchante. What? His words took me by complete surprise. Wait, what? What do you mean? I said what I said. It's dangerous for me to stay here. But that's where we're going tomorrow, to find a solution to this whole fiasco. Didn't you hear everybody object to the idea of you leaving Enchante? That's out of the question! You've managed to contain your rampage up to this point, so you can... It's not that simple. It's way more complicated than that. Il even said so. No one can tame something so linked to who I am. That goddamned instinct will forever be a part of me. I know this now more than ever, and it kills me. I'm not saying this because I want to. But when I think about it, feels like a whole bunch of funky stuff's been happening. What do you mean, funky? Last night, after fighting the Minotaurs, for a second I kinda blacked out after getting a whiff of their blood. Is that... Yeah, it's like my vision turned red, like I was consumed by this vicious impulse. I recognize that sensation. That day when the Firewolf stronghold was raided. When I lost my damn mind, and I murdered everyone in sight. It was the same exact feeling. Kotone, if I so much as stepped in the wrong direction, I could have killed you right there and then. Ignis was barking. He bit his lip to contain his fury. As long as there's even a sliver of a chance of that happening, I'm never returning to Enchante. That's all I wanted to say. See ya. He ended his remark, spitting on his heel and to leave my room. What? Oh. Oh. Wait! I quickly grabbed his hand, hoping it would stop him. The moment I did so, however, Ignis yanked his arm away from me. It was like he was afraid of touching me. Let go! No! I said let go! No! In the face of Ignis's petulant resistance, I too resist like a nagging child. I understand what you're trying to say, Ignis. In the worst case scenario, that your rampage flares up. You don't want to inadvertently hurt any of us, right? I think it's understandable to feel that way. If I was in your position, I'd probably have the same inclination. But still, one thing's for sure, I never want to contemplate what Enchante would be without you. I knew I was being selfish, but I couldn't simply let him leave, not after everything. The idea was unthinkable. You... The veins on Ignis's forehead bulged. When will you stop to face the music? Stop inserting me into your fantasy! I committed murder with the very hands you're hell-bent on grabbing. All of those beasts who invaded the stronghold, my fellow firewolves, my friends, they're all dead, all thanks to me. Whether or not I knew, I hid it from you. My vow to never kill was all a big farce. That's the kind of asshole I am. You said it yourself. The only reason you didn't fear me was because I never killed. But I did, so... But I never saw it. What? I never saw you do it. I've never seen you kill anyone, not a soul. So, you can't expect me to hate you or be afraid of you. Why you? My voice was quivering. If I were to let loose, a deluge of tears would come streaming down my face. But I desperately held all of it back. After all, I'm the one tormenting Ignis with my personal feelings. Crying now, when he was at his most vulnerable, would be unfair. I would only be bringing him down, while his hands are full from his crisis of self. I'm an ordinary human being. After hearing everything that happened, I can't lie and say that the thought doesn't frighten me a little. But still, the Ignis I know is better than that. He's kind, he's gentle, and he's you. I can still hold your hand like this. Don't patronize me! I don't care. The least you could do is not assume. Until after tomorrow. I don't want to contemplate what happens in the worst case scenario. Can't you see? I want you here, Ignis. How could you say that to me? I mean, I know what's at stake. If I harmed you in any way, it would be the end. Despite my heartfelt, desperate pleas. As I should have expected, Ignis was stubborn and his heart was set. It was tragic. It was painful. But I...
Q!
Didn't notice until now. Koro is sitting on the bed, staring at the open book in the corner of my eye. Early the next morning, we finalized everything for our Bestia trip. I was just thinking about all the accidents and construction that there's been recently, but I had no idea it was because of Bestia. Wait, don't tell me you're going, Kotone. I mean, I get it's dangerous here because of the intruder incident, but... Karya came to see us off, expressing concern with Koro safe in his arms. I responded with an awkward smile, donning the blanket that I had received from the young beastling. Right. I'll be okay, promise. I have everyone with me. You be careful too, Karya, just in case those minotaurs show up in town. I'll be fine. There's a bunch of GPM agents patrolling the area anyways. Normally I would have asked Karya to watch after the cafe for me, but there's a chance the intruder who assaulted me could come back at any time, so this time Karya was instructed to stay at home. One of Mr. Rindo's trusted subordinates at the not-so-gentle behest of Miser agreed to watch after the cafe for me. Also, it was decided that we would leave Koro at home, with Karya, under the guise of a stuffed animal. When his parents gonna be like, oh, that thing is breathing, oh, it's probably a toy. Or so we had planned.
Q!
Oh, Q! All of a sudden, Koro shifted his weight, leaning out of Karya's arms and dropping into mine. Koro? This felt awfully familiar.
Q!
I tried my best to give him back, but... Ow, ow, ow! Koro dug his claws into my arm, seemingly unwilling to part with me. Seems like he wants to tag along. Well, Bestia is Koro's home, after all. Maybe the little guy loves a free trip home when he can find one. Mr. Rindo, who was eavesdropping from the side, interjected. It shouldn't be a big deal, no? You did notify Ignis of your predicament before. I don't think he'll be much of a burden. Thank you. Alright, Koro, we're going.
Q!
Karya handed Koro over entirely, wrapping both hands around his plump body. Beast fur check. Mikado transmitter check. I didn't forget anything, I think. Transmitter? Yep. It's a new device he developed recently. A true scientific marvel. Mr. Rindo beamed with pride as he pulled the device out from his pocket. Though it looked like a smartphone to me. I don't think we've seen this before. Although not in this route. Mr. Rindo explained how the device enabled communication between realms, with the GPM as the broadcast point. Also, it took photos! The entire room took interest in this device, and Miser and the others huddled close to sneak a peek at the palm-sized transmitter. Mikado's communicator. A prototype device made by Mikado to communicate with other worlds. Presently, it is only possible to commute with Bestia. Maybe because of all the wormholes. Technology from the human world is more magical than any of from our realms.
I never once considered the possibility of communicating across different realms.
Haha, it's still a prototype. The sound quality could use some improvement. And there's always a chance for the signal to drop. Hey guys, let's cut the needless chatter and get moving already. It seems Dromy's has been patiently awaiting our arrival on the other side. We needn't keep him waiting much longer. Oh, sure. So Ignis grabbed a hold of the doorknob, bracing myself as we entered the gate to Bestia. For a while I stared at him from behind. Without a word, I grabbed onto his shirt. What shirt? Hey, you know the rules. Keep your hands inside the vehicle at all times. Oh, give it a rest. As if in reference to our conversation from the previous day, I told him ever so tightly. Ignis, realizing it likely wasn't worth the argument, let out a sigh in defeat. Whatever. His response was as cold as I expected it to be as he squeezed the doorknob. From there, we were transported back to the unforgiving snowy world altogether.
Bro! And Miss Owner, I was waiting for you. I'd like to cordially invite all of you to my bro's hometown, better known as the Firewolf Stronghold. I've already plotted a path for us to avoid detection from those smelly beasts, so don't worry about a thing.
Right, we're counting on you. I was unsure if he'd gotten over our last conversation, but Dromy welcomed us at the gate entrance, awkward as ever. Without taking any detours, we proceeded straight down the guided path. Of course, with the conditions and the distance, we took occasional breaks. Soon I began to recognize my surroundings as we ambled down the path which led us straight to the Firewolf stronghold. We heard an electric pinging sound, one that was foreign to this frozen world, coming from Mr. Rindo's pocket. And the sound was, of course, none other than... Hello? Testing 1, 2. Oh, why, it's the owner from Enchante, our fellow non-humans, and as a bonus, the geezer himself, Rindo. Everyone hear me? Yes, we can hear you. I'm hanging up now. Stop! How dare you attempt to interrupt the first live test of my grand invention? Why can't you enjoy a good dialogue, eh, Rindo? Mikado's voice was cranked all the way up, making it so all of us could hear their playful banter. Turn that stupid thing down.
But isn't it cool? I can't believe we can make contact between Bestia and the human world.
Seriously, guess that proves it. Mikado really is a genius, isn't he? I don't know why the prospect would surprise you. It really is impressive, isn't it? I must say, though, I am no stranger to compliments. Your flattery sounds extra clear over the transmitter. Mikado, if you're only calling us to brag about the transmitter, I'm going to hang up. Whoa, whoa! Hold your horses! You know, that's not why I called. Now that we conducted the field test, I actually have a small favor to ask of the expedition troop. A favor, you ask? Or you say, rather. Indeed. No need to worry, though. It's nothing major. All I ask that you keep the transmitter on whenever you're talking about Ignis, so that I can stay in the loop. The best way for me to study him is to obtain accurate intelligence about the man himself in the field. Hey, since when do you ask simple favors? Too right. I thought you were going to ask us something outlandish like bring back a blood sample from every firewolf we see. Anyway, roger that. Just keep in mind that the transmitter is foreign tech here, so try to keep quiet if you hear something, okay? Mikado squealed in responding with energetic affirmation as our company set off down the trail. The only thing I could think of was how different Bestia looked from day to night. Back then, the ice blocks were a deep azure, but now they're close to transparent. The trek was a lengthy workout. Just as my knees began to howl in pain, we finally reached our destination. The men in our group, visiting for the first time, began inspecting the surrounding igloos and large torches with intrigue. Ah, so this is the Firewolf stronghold? Kane is in full knight armor.
Unlike the other beast strongholds, this one is illuminated by torchlight.
Given that they're wolf people, I'm sure they're all hot-blooded. But seeing this in a snowy wasteland is weird no matter what. Personally, I am grateful for their warm accommodations, especially compared to the other strongholds. Oh, we got chatter. Soon as the firewolves took notice of us, the thin population began to buzz. The discomfort was palpable. All of the firewolves caught sight of Ignis, and the fires located beside their ears diminished without warning. Ignis, however, hadn't seemed to mind, and instead marched through the snow. Hey, Uncle, I got something to ask you. Ignis grabbed the arm of the man who, just a couple of days ago, delivered the earth-shattering news to him. The old man shook his hand, signaling to a worried bystander that everything was fine. Okay, I know this won't be sufficient to atone for the sins of lying to you about your entire life, but I will tell you everything I know. Out of respect to Ignis's unwavering resolve, the old man nodded, obliging his resolve. He escorted our group to an empty igloo to begin the discussion. Sorry, I'm just kind of laughing because outside my window there's little bicycle horn honking. Someone's selling. The corn man is outside. Alright, anyway, he escorted our group to an empty igloo to begin the discussion. At first, we introduced ourselves. We took the time to explain to him the circumstances happening in my world. Then, Ignis's expression warped as he began to interrogate the man. First things first, I gotta ask, is it true that when I was a kid I lost my mind and slaughtered both the invaders and the firewolves? Yes. After a long pause, the man nodded out of resignation. We firewolves have been persecuted since ancient times, hence our people are vulnerable and capable of fighting. All we could do in the face of such atrocities was to turn, run, and hope to survive the slaughter. Those who managed to escape the carnage hid away, waiting until it passed, but
Ignis, having succumbed to his rampage, took the survivors and the intruders and...
It was clear what became of them, hearing the deceased cry out in their dying moments. I see. Ignis, reminded once again of the atrocities he had committed, uttered in silent confirmation, choosing not to erupt in rage, but to nod instead. However, we all believe this to be the story's end. And... The man whose face sagged heavily with regret continued to speak, pointing his nose at the ground while recounting his tale. This might be a stupid question, but do you really have no recollection about anything from that day? Ignis shrugged, offering his usual response. I don't remember. Not a thing. Despite his sincerity, I see. Then I've no choice.
Sir, is something bothering you?
The man stewed in his hesitant demeanor as Canis interjected. Then, he let his gaze wander for a moment, all of us hanging on the edge of our seats as he unraveled. During that incident, we lost many of our kin, comrades who were lost during the invasion. Well, duh. If I killed pretty much everyone in the stronghold, friend or foe alike, then... No, that's not what I meant. Apart from those who died in the massacre, many of our kin were separated from us in the chaos. There were about a dozen of them. We never found their corpses, so we thought they had escaped. Ignis was asked if he recalled any of them, though unsurprisingly, Ignis shook his head with an inquisitive gaze. I see. I suppose all we can do for now is pray that our kin are alive somewhere. It is true that you covered up the truth in order to manipulate Ignis to operate as a personal defense force? That's right. I have no excuse for that. I'm sorry. He bowed his head deeply. All of us, including Ignis, could do nothing except wait quietly for the silence to pass. That is about all I have to tell you about that day. Do you have any questions? Oh, I do. We're here looking into Ignis's so-called rampage instinct, so we're conducting some interviews. Is there anyone else we could speak with about it? No. Everybody here will tell you the same thing, or close to what I have told you. He stopped in the middle of his sentence as if something caught his eye. Well, maybe Dromy there would know something. He was among those who lived in the safety of our stronghold at the time, and he too survived the event. Besides, at the time, he was the closest to Ignis. With this unexpected remark, everyone pointed their eyes at Dromy.
What? I mean, he's not lying exactly, but I don't know nothing. Back then, I just kind of freaked out, fell on my ass, and passed out.
This just proves it. You've been useless forever, haven't you?
Hey, that's not fair. I don't appreciate having my entire life questioned either.
As Dromy sat there flummoxed, Mr. Rindo continued with his own question. Have any other members of your clan gone on a similar rampage? Perhaps a distant ancestor of some kind. Does that ring a bell? An ancestor, you say? Legends tell of the firewolf's ancestral beast, a being with extraordinary power. I confess such a legend exists, however. With each generation, the details become cloudier and cloudier. Even I couldn't recite it here accurately. The man closed his eyes, conveying to the group that it was time we took our leave. As soon as we exited the stronghold, Mr. Rindo pulled out his transmitter. Mikado, you're in the clear to speak. How do you think of our little talk went? Well, there were holes in all of his stories. It's hardly what I'd call worth our time. Even though I couldn't see Dr. Mikado's face right in front of me, I could see he was frustrated, sitting cross-armed on the call. Everyone else in our group was the same, pondering with arms crossed or rubbed chins. They were completely preoccupied with the idea of Ignis's rampage instinct.
It may go without saying that his prowess in combat as a beast is incredible. But Ignis is the one and only beast capable of running rampant? Does anything about his tale sound familiar?
Nope. Doesn't ring a bell here either.
If the information broker himself, Dromy's, says as much, then hope is faint. The other possibilities are... maybe all the firewolves are capable of rampaging, but it's never occurred to them that they've got the power? Are you suggesting that going on these rampages is a hidden firewolf ability?
No, if that were the case all along, then there'd definitely be one or two cases than just me.
But it is equally foolish to believe that a heretic would emerge into being one day, without warning, out of thin air.
As with what happened with Karya, one's power is deeply connected to their ancestry. I cannot help but think that the answer lies somewhere in the heritage of the firewolves.
But still, don't you think there's a problem if there's no one in living memory like me? My dead mom and pops were both ordinary firewolves, so I hear.
I sat deep in thought, hoping to grasp the flicker of some great epiphany that would answer and ease all our concerns at once. But sadly, I was no expert. Truthfully, I hadn't the faintest clue what could induce a beast into a rampage. From my perspective, it felt like a submission to abase yourself. Those minotaurs we encountered had certainly given credence to the claim. So I mumbled aloud. Is there anything in the realm of simple features or qualities that makes him different? Like, what separates Ignis from other beasts? If I were to guess, if the answer was so easy to begin with, we wouldn't be in our current situation. Something that originally was a little more than a blind pitch thrown under my breath. Huh? Well... The Mikado's still on the line. Of course, it's his enormous appetite. Huh? Miser, Mr. Rindo, and Mikado had all apparently picked up on my idea, synchronized in their declaration.
What?
The claim caused Ignis's jaw to drop as he shot a wide-eyed stare back at them. I mean, Ignis. It wouldn't be a stretch to say that you regularly eat meals on Enchante, would it?
Duh. Do you even need to ask? You see me every damn day. It's true that beasts usually don't consume food. Hunger just isn't a thing for us. But eating some food couldn't hurt, right?
Well, how do I say this? You're looking at this the wrong way. Listen here, Ignis. It is not as simple as beasts not experiencing hunger. It's that they quite literally cannot eat. Water and ice are totally sufficient for a firewolf's diet. Wait, what? they just eat water? What was the point of, like, a beast world if they don't hunt each other? Wait, Don't tell me. You never knew this, Ignis? You never had trouble putting food down, so I didn't think to point it out. What? Ignis's cry echoed through the tundra so loudly it nearly triggered an avalanche. His reaction was shock, then anger, not that the distinction saved us from flinching. But beasts can't eat? But how do you explain Ignis eating enough to feed a whole family in one sitting every single day? Is quite the paradox, isn't it?
What does this mean?
Mikado cleared his throat, looking around the room as he continued. Well, ignorance comes at no surprise when one has been deprived of the chance to learn about other beasts' anatomy. To put it in layman's terms, 3 out of the 4 of you non-humans, Miser, Ill, and Canis, these 3 are categorized in terms of what we comprehend as spiritual beings. I won't go into the science behind it all, but they, like humans, can convert whatever they consume into energy. With Ignis, however, if he is what I know about beasts is correct, should have no similar need for sustenance. Why is that? The reason is quite simple. The native people of Bestia, or beasts, have no digestive system in their bodies. Even beasts too. They do not possess digestive organs, and they cannot eat. The most they do is wet their throat with water or ice. Ignis being able to eat like a normal person is exception to the norm. Wait, how are these beings surviving on water? I don't get it. Does it just absorb energy? Is it just like how life formed here? Is like this is just ice, so therefore everything lives off ice? I don't get it. To date, I've examined over 300 Bestian species, all of which validate my assertion. You possess neither the stomach nor the intestines, yet somehow you manage to eat as if you do. Wait, 300? That means Mikada's like dissected 300 beasts, demon beasts. If there's any distinction between Ignis and the other beasts, then look no further than what stands before us. Soon after he howled, then he fell speechless. Is that why you asked for Ignis's blood sample the last time all of us were together? Indeed! I never received a single drop, though! Come to think of it, Koro didn't make a pass at the fish I gave him. And the most Dromy ever had at Enchante was a cup of coffee or ice cream.
Cute! Huh. Oh, yes. I think that's right.
Hey, Dromy!
Eek! Why are you looking at me like that? Was I supposed to say something? I always found it kind of funny that you ate, you know, bro. I figured it was just a firewolf thing or something.
My goodness. Who could have known his eating, which just seemed normal, had unseen consequences? How do beasts normally generate stamina then? You're saying that energy doesn't matter to them, right? It seems they're born with as much energy, which in our terms are essentially calories, as they need to live out their entire life. That seems preposterous. Like you have to recharge somehow. Like were they like born with the power of the sun within them? They consume the stock of calories little by little throughout their lifespan. I never knew that.
It simply beggars belief. How can one picture Ignis as being anything other than face down in a meal? But the question remains as how his penchant for eating and his capacity to rampage are connected.
Ignis, on the other hand, had a peculiar reaction to this new revelation, one that was surprising in its own way. His somewhat thorny demeanor from earlier had mostly faded and was now replaced by total shock.
Q.
All of a sudden, Korra became unsettled and started to wriggle around in my arms. What's wrong, Kororo?
Q.
Yeah? Like a rubber bouncing ball, Kororo leapt from my arms. From there, he landed and hopped onto the icy ground.
Q. Ignis. Q.
Korra began flapping his arms around on the snow, all calling Ignis's name.
Huh?
You talking to me?
Q.
Can you understand him, Ignis? Of course not.
Q.
Perhaps out of frustration with Ignis's lack of action, Korra began to flail his arms forcefully. Then he pointed those arms in a certain direction. Someone finally had picked up on the small creature's gestures. It wasn't Ignis, but in fact, Mr. Rindo of all people. Does anyone else think that he wants us to head that way? But that's... Ignis pauses his sentence, shifting his eyes over to Dromy with a strange look of deep concern.
Oh.
What's over there?
Oh, nothing. Just my home. More specifically, where the werecat stronghold used to be.
Where it used to be? Oh. That's right. Dromy's friends and family had also been annihilated by beasts. Sorry. I didn't mean to remind you of bad memories.
It's okay. That was a long time ago. And I have my bro with me now. The ocean's not too far from here, so maybe Kororo is just fussing because he wants to go swimming.
Since our investigation is at an impasse, why don't we let him shake a flipper for a bit?
Then I'll, chat with the firewolves again for info about bro, okay?
Okay, thank you. I could only imagine how painful it was to return to the ruins of your fallen kin. Dromy ran back to the firewolf stronghold with his eyes pointed at the snowy boulders. Dromy... Don't feel too bad for him. He's got his reason for going off. Yes, you're right. I wouldn't want to show him any disrespect. I picked up Kororo and plowed my feet through the plushy snow towards the sea where Kororo was inexplicably drawn.
Q!
Close to the shore, the smell of sea salt hit my nose. Kororo leapt towards the crashing waves. With that momentum, he dove into the ocean. From this angle, the little guy looks like any old seal. This would make for a wonderful photograph, but at risk of angering Rindo again, I shall honorably refrain. It was all smiles on that windy beach as Kororo splashed playfully in the shallow water. Man, how nice of you to take a dip. Thanks for totally ruining the moment. In the end, nothing could ever take the wind out of Kororo's sails. Then suddenly... What? I realized Ignis and I stood side by side, engaging in normal conversation at last. It then occurred to Ignis shortly after. He immediately reacted by averting his gaze. So Okay, let's get a little closer to him then. I missed the closeness that he and I shared once before. Oh, I took an inconspicuous step closer to him. By the looks of things, Ignis didn't exactly try to escape from me, but he still pursed his lip awkwardly. It was like we were thrust back in time, an awkward portrait of our early days. It felt rather lonely. After our conversation wafted into the ocean air, he and I stared blankly at the water. Hey, Ignis.
What?
Forgive me if saying this oversteps some kind of boundary, but after earlier, something about it made me happy.
Huh?
Beasts technically don't ever eat because they don't have to, right? If you were one of the beasts that couldn't eat, I would have never seen the look on your face after eating a big meal with that big goofy smile.
Kotone.
I know that you're suffering right now, but I still want to spend time with you over at Enchante if you would like to visit. I want to feed you whatever meal you want every day of my life.
Every day?
Yes.
That's a big commitment there.
I don't know how to say this, but that's how much I...
The blushes.
How much I... Wait, what was I trying to say?
Q!
Koro thrashed at the water violently, which splashed upward and hit Ignis in the face. Silence. Water droplets trickled from the bridge of his nose to the tip until it dripped down. Ignis held this pose quietly, letting the curtain of water on his face fall slowly to the ground.
Koro, you little...
Unable to contain himself, Ignis nearly popped a vein from trying to roar at Kororo.
Food. Ignis, eat. Huh?
Kororo poked his head out of the water to say something unusual. The others who'd stood watching in the distance gathered towards us, curious about what was going on. Kororo floated joyfully in the water, pointing his big eyes at us.
Ignis, food. Eat.
Said Kororo before diving once more into the water and swimming away. Huh? Kororo? Wait, where are you going? The depths obscured Kororo's shadow and suddenly he was gone.
That idiot. Doesn't he know how dangerous it is to swim in uncharted waters?
We have to hurry and chase him.
He was swimming down the eastward current. We must catch him before it's too late. Hey, cage bird. You think you could track Kororo down with a spell? What's the matter? You needn't become involved if there's an issue.
No, he hasn't gotten too far yet. I can do it. I'll execute the spell at once. Il soared into the air, casting the same detection spell he had previously used to locate the Pakus.
Damn it, Kororo. Doesn't he know that this is Minotaur territory? He's always poking that snout of his where it doesn't belong.
Ignis mumbled to himself, presumably out of concern for Kororo. That's when...
Ignis and food?
I heard the little guy say eat, but food. Any idea how he figured out how to say a word like that? Who knows? You're asking the wrong guy. Maybe she saw it somewhere on TV or heard it in town somewhere. Yeah, maybe. But the timing is too convenient for me. Why parrot such a random phrase? From a short distance, Miser and Mr. Rindo watched the situation with great curiosity. Thanks to Ill's spell, we were able to track Koro's location. Our former angel glided above us, guiding us through the path on our pursuit. But at the end of our long run, we hit a dead end, our path blocked by a gigantic icy boulder. Seems our only way we could progress any further would be to dive underwater. Ill, noticing our predicament, landed on the ground, albeit while stumbling. Target's location confirmed. It seems Koro is standing idly just through this underpass through here. Good work, Ill. By the looks of it. Doesn't seem like you fully recovered since the last time you were in Bestia. Looking for Kotone, have you? True. Huh? Really? It suddenly became evident in me. I noticed how the color had been draining from Ill's face. You know, you'd be doing us a big favor by speaking up now and then. We wouldn't have to push you too hard. But then, no one else could have successfully located Koro. Isn't that right? However, pardon my request, but moving forward, I hope I am of use to you in ways other than combat. You've done enough, Ill. Rest up for now. Oh.
Indeed. An obstacle of this size was no challenge for us.
In one swift movement, Canis unsheathed his blade, raised it into the air, and shattered the huge block of ice. A path opened before us, but its entrance was damp and dimly lit. Is this an ice cave? I had no idea this place was so close to the Werecat stronghold. Ignis, it seemed, shared in my wonder at such a secluded location. I wonder why Koro swam all the way here. Probably just to mess with us. Let's nab him already so we can teach him a lesson. As soon as we set foot inside, my skin clenched as the stone walls and ground insulated a punishing chill. I took a deep breath, hoping my resolve would warm me in the freezing depths. Soon, we arrived at an opening. The narrow path emptied into a wide hall. We stand side by side, with room to play. This wasn't exactly a cave, but rather looks like a shrine, made of ice. Though I might have faintly recognized the scene from a historical document, or documentary. Then in the pool of water situated at the center of the shrine was... Q! Koro poking his head out enthusiastically. Ah, Koro! We were worried about you! I held my arms out wide for him to come. Normally, whenever I pose like this, Koro would cry out loudly and leap into my arms, but this time... Koro? For some reason, he didn't budge. Instead, Koro began to swim towards the rear of the shrine. Q! He emerged from the water and poked a wall with his horn as if to direct our attention to the spot. His tiny horn was pointed at a small engraving, etched onto the wall. Oh. Is this a mural? This was at like the very beginning of the route. No, these are just pictures. I've seen these in the GPM database before. They're ancient Bestian characters. Let's take a look at it. Koro turned around, seeing that we had taken notice of the hieroglyphs. Cure! Along. Huh? Speaking words. What the hell? Koro had the mural to his back. Then he began to speak in a manner those of us who normally interacted with him at Enchante had never heard before. The lively mood among our expedition party was replaced by a solemn, focused attention. We stood fully entranced by the little creature, as if it were about to recite a lengthy tale. So began the little creature. Far past Bestia, he said to the group as he waddled alongside the mural, narrating it. One day, human came, but Bestia already. Firewolf there. Wolf sleep. Wolf human wake up and food lots eat. Huh? All of us jerked in reaction to hear him speak so clearly. Koro, unfazed, continued. Wolf are Vinitriu. Tigrish Canch Ignis Wolf Food Eat Become Cure. As if to signal the end of his story, Koro cried out as he usually did. What? Koro, what's gotten into you all of a sudden? He seems different somehow, as if coming here awoke something inside him. That's cool and all, but why did he mention the firewolves and my name out of nowhere? Also, are these werecats like Dromy? On a whim, I glanced once more at the mural where I began to parse. Various beasts and men illustrated all manner of situations. Each depiction, I noticed, had wolves donned in flames, connecting each other, or each one. Perhaps Koro is following the contents of the mural and attaching words to the images. Sure sounded like it. He even trotted alongside the pictures.
The shrine must be ancient. Ignis, does any of this look familiar to you?
Nope. Couldn't tell you the first thing these pictures mean. The ancient text is too blurry to make out. But what if this was all from some kid who came and vandalized the wall? I think the pictures look too purposeful for that to be the case. Here's a thought. Why don't we take the words that Koro mentioned earlier and rephrase them in our own terms? Huh? Why should we bother? Well, humor me for a second. I must connect to you somehow. Couldn't hurt to try, right?
Fine, if you insist.
But how should we rephrase it? I replayed Kororo's presentation in my head. If I could summon what exactly Kororo said, I can imitate the words for everyone. Far past, Bestia. One day, human came. Simple enough. He referred, of course, to an ancient Bestia. Next, he said.
One day, humans came. In other words, in ancient times, human had visited Bestia.
Yes, fantastic. Let's expand the thoughts into proper sentences to decipher the meaning. I hate to be a bother, but could you help us remember what Kororo said? Aye, of course. I'll replay my memories. Il immediately obliged Miser's request. He began to repeat Kororo's exact words effortlessly. Far past, Bestia. One day, human came. But Bestia, already, Firewolf, there, Wolf sleep. Wolf human, wake up and food, lots, eat. Wolf R, Vinitriu, Tigrish, Canch. Ignis Wolf, food, eat, become. If we do what we did earlier to interpret Kororo's meaning...
A long time ago, humans visited Bestia.
Why already did he mean originally? Could it mean that the wolves of legend were dormant in Bestia at the time? Perhaps the arrival of the mankind woke these wolves from hibernation, and they partook in a bountiful feast afterward. They were Firewolf. The werecat watched. Ignis is a wolf. When he eats, these qualities are enhanced. Is that right? Yup. Think that just about covers it.
The Wolf of Flames. That must be what's drawn here on the mural.
The beginning part sounds like an old fairy tale. So why did he mention food all of a sudden? Maybe the guys who came to Bestia gave food to the wolves as an offering? I don't know the details, but... the wolves mentioned here, going by their name and description, could refer to Ignis's ancestors, right? Oh, that's right. The fact that it refers to what appeared to be ancient firewolves align with Ignis perfectly. It even mentions them eating.
Plus Kororo, he would mention that the wolf refers to the firewolves clearly.
Mr. Rindo let out a sigh in contemplation and placed his hands beneath his chin. So let me get this straight. Because humans fed Ignis's ancestors, the descendants can eat food too. What a huge joke. Well, that'd be kind of silly. I mean, it would make more sense if, like, maybe the humans and, like, the beast interbred or something? And made some sort of hybrid that was both beast and could eat. Assuming, because I'm just assuming everyone prior to human, like, interaction just can't eat. But I don't know.
However, everything else the little creature said is still unclear.
Right. This doesn't change what we know about Ignis. We knew he's a beast, didn't we? Besides, what about the werecat part? It watches, as in, watches over someone? Perhaps it referred to a werecat companion. Maybe Dromy knows something since he's a werecat. And as soon as I said that, cold. Suddenly, a freezing cold drop of water splashed into my forehead. Whoa, that scared me. I suspected some of the flames radiating from Ignis's body melted the ice on the ceiling. I tested my hypothesis by glancing upward, but when I did... Oh look! There's a mural up there too! What? As my voice bounded up around the stony cave, everyone looked up in unison. What we saw was... Oh, hello. A giant firewolf, in other words, Ignis's ancestor. Yeah, it doesn't look like these guys are friends. Got some minotaurs just hanging out there too. It is a majestic, breathtaking depiction. It appeared to be swallowing what looked like other beasts and humans one after the other. Was it? We lowered our heads and looked around. All of a sudden, Miser's face, which seemed hopeful and cheery just a moment ago, became stern. Hey, Ignis. If I remember correctly, the firewolves have been persecuted and attacked for several generations, right? Yeah, all because of some stupid tradition. What about it? Well, when you think about it, that doesn't make much sense, does it? The rest of the firewolves, other than you, should be decently formidable in battle. In other words, there had to be other ones just like you a long time ago, right? So why? Why have your people settled in the furthest corner of the icy border, as if you're exiled? Could it mean... wait, who's this? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? The ancient beast imprisoned the firewolves to protect themselves from their own destruction. Oh. It's Dromy.
We werecats were assigned to watch them in this prison, passing as their neighbors.
Suddenly, a voice echoed from the entrance. An ominous interruption, dotted by footsteps.
Guru.
Goro stood in front of the mural, growling at the figure in the dark as if to ward them away. There's only one person at whom I've ever known Goro to growl like that. The shadow appeared, opening his arms in a wide and exaggerated manner, as if to welcome us. Why did the music get all scary?
Now, fellas. Great job making it here. This shrine's been under the werecat protection for millennia, but it's been forgotten. The Shrine of Record.
He raised his voice, beaming what appeared to be pride. Dromy? He knew all along! What happened? Weren't you back at the Firewolf stronghold?
Oh, don't worry about that. I've already taken care of all the business over there.
Dromy said, as much with a wide but disconcerting smile. Something about him unsettled me, something I couldn't place. But I said as much to him bluntly. You're scaring me.
Guru!
The werecat stared back at Koro, who continued to growl, and he let out a heavy sigh.
Man, what a shame. I was hoping to reveal everything to my bro in a big, once-in-a-lifetime way. But I never expected Koro would be the one to spoil the big surprise. So, the reason you separated from the group was because you swam all the way here? Goo!
Ignis stepped forward as if in Koro's defense, despite still processing the big reveal. Enough, Dromy. Mind telling us what the hell you're blabbering about? We're waiting. What do you mean by surprise? And what did you mean? When you said other beasts imprisoned the firewolves at the border to prevent destruction.
Huh? Seems pretty obvious.
Dromy offered a casual rebuttal as if it was any other conversation.
I mean, it basically what the Minotaurs are trying to do as we speak. It doesn't make the situation any less lame, but since they're aware of how sticky this has been since old times, they're trying to protect Bestia the only way they know how. From the total destruction, aka Ignis.
Like I said, you're not making any sense, you stupid tiger. Quit with the riddles and answer the damn question to my face.
I would, but you already know everything. You guys figured out what's written on the ceiling. It's all pretty clear, you know.
Normally, Dromy would shrink or run at the sound of Ignis's threats, but he didn't bat an eyelash, nor did he flinch at Ignis's scream in anger. He was no longer the coward hiding behind Ignis, relying upon him for strength.
However, I will oblige. You're my inspiration, bro. I'll lay it out, just as you asked. Listen, that's the ancestor of the firewolves, drawn there on the ceiling. That monster once brought Bestia to the brink of annihilation because it slaughtered man and beast alike.
Monster. That was...
Now you understand. Ignis, you are in Bestia. Nothing but a monster.
Ignis recalled the fated conversation. So, what you're suggesting is that Ignis's rampage instinct...
Bingo, you got it. You got it from this ancient monster. Having said that, my bro here is the only firewolf that seems to be carrying on his ancestors' legacy.
Dromy, judging by the way you speak, have you known about Ignis's rampage instinct all along?
Of course! When it comes to my bro, I know everything. In the past, I saw it all. I watched my bro commit mass murder, and I never said a peep.
What? His confession rang as words of betrayal to Ignis. You knew everything and kept quiet this entire time? Why? For what purpose?
Well, I could have told you, but... Well, more importantly, you think it's smart leaving the firewolves alone right now? when Koro took all of his little friends on that wild goose chase. I might have told the Minotaurs about a good hunting spot around here. For old time's sake, you know.
Dromy? No. He said as much with a chuckle. Ignis's face dropped and he immediately sprinted towards the shrine's entrance. Ignis, wait! After him! We can't let Ignis go alone!
Hold your horses. The audience isn't allowed to get up on the stage.
Dromy lowered his shoulders as if on cue. Oh! Wait, how'd these guys sneak up on us? Then a deranged band of minotaurs came rushing into the cave. Nope.
Kotone! Take Koro and stand back!
No, I have a better idea. Get out of here! We can't afford to slip up. One wrong move and we can hurt her on accident. Agreed! Ill, you're in no shape to fight either. Think you can sneak her out of the Minotaur ambush? Yes, I should be able to. Kotone, grab Koro quick. Just sure. Q! As soon as I wrapped Koro in my arms, Ill carried me in turn. Just as the Minotaur charged at us from behind, Ill kicked at the ground. He flew, nearly scraping the ceiling on the way out so we can escape from the cave. Oh, this is Dromy. Dromy's perspective.
Well then, guess I could let the regulars dance around for a bit before I skedaddle. I can't wait. Soon. Soon, bro.
I didn't expect Dromy to be the unhinged one, but there were signs. There were a lot of signs. Alright, going to Ignis's perspective now. I dashed towards the stronghold, noticing the setting sun plunging Bestia into darkness. I alone illuminated the darkness as I cut through the frigid air, running as fast as my legs would take me. The flames covering my body flared wildly, mirroring the chaos that stormed inside me. Come on, come on, come on! The firewolves have suffered enough, especially at my hands, and I couldn't let their numbers dwindle anymore. I've been lied to my entire life. I was feared, I was used. It all felt heavy on my shoulders for sure. I felt betrayed. But even so, they were still my kin, the last of my people. I'll never let anything horrible happen to them ever again. This time I would protect them. This time I would save their lives. All of my hopes and convictions. Ooh, okay, everything's on fire. Disintegrated in my palm. My eyes are fixated on the scene, a familiar sight I had long since buried. Huts and bodies, charred, as the firewolf torches waned in the distance. Blood and soot soaked the snow. Not a single firewolf was spared. The man I called uncle all these years tumbled on the ground, disposed of, forgotten. What I saw there instead were the Minotaurs hacking at their opponents relentlessly, showing no mercy to whomever stood in their way. Their eyes, they were clouded, disgusting. As soon as they noticed my presence, their eyes bulged open. My vision went red. My heart was ready to burst from my chest. Searing heat covered my body, a sensation that radiated from my body's core. If I were to give in to this heat, Ignis! There could only be one outcome. Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't kill! Hold it in! In the future, violence doesn't have to be an answer. I want to believe in a future where we can live in peace. Don't. The one she had faith in. But it was useless. I was submitting to my base self. Ah, yes. I remember now. Each time that I lost my sanity, or came close to doing so, it involved the smell of blood. No. An appetizing aroma filled my nostrils, consumed my waking thought. My rampage instinct lay dormant inside me, crying out in its cravings. It commanded me. It wanted me to feed. Upon every living being in sight. Oh no, we lost it. We're back to Kotone's perspective. What are we gonna find? Il managed to dodge the Minotaur's swinging arms one after the other. We flew out of the cave as I hugged Koro tighter against me, and we were lifted into the cold Bestian sky. We've escaped with our lives. Just as Il squinted his eyes, we heard the flames erupt in the distance. To neither of us' surprise, we glanced over to the direction of the sound. Right beneath us, the firewolf stronghold glowed a faint shade of crimson. Don't tell me. Was it? The stronghold is under attack. I'm afraid that Ignis too is there. Il, we have to go there too. Unfortunately, I cannot grant that request. I haven't much strength left. Certainly not enough to protect you. We must head directly to Enchante's gate and evacuate. But Ignis... He will be all right. With his strength, it is unlikely he will come under any harm, so... Il's eyes shot open. We felt an intense ray of heat, one that could not normally occur in such a frozen world, coming from below. Il let out a sharp gasp, shifting his weight mid-flight to avoid it, but his trembling wings were slow to react. A giant storm of flame surrounded us. Il! Q! Ill's wings were exposed and burnt by the raging flames exploding below. I heard Ill cry out in agony before my vision became suddenly blurry. We dropped into the flaming maelstrom, down into the firewolf stronghold. Q. A small distance away, Koro laid there, passed out. We fell from quite a height, but somehow both Koro and I survived the fall. Luckily, neither of us were seriously hurt. I spotted Ill, lying unconscious beside me. It seemed as though his quick reaction was more than enough to spare us our lives, for which I felt immense gratitude. Forgive me. Are you hurt at all? I'm alright, but Ill, you're... This is nothing to worry about. I will recover once we return to the human world. More importantly, what is going on here? At Ill's prompting, I surveyed around us. Judging by immediate surroundings, we landed within the firewolf stronghold. However, the horror began to set in as I realized I recognized no part of the secluded, humble stronghold in the chaos. It was a massacre. A force that left no stone unturned. All-consuming and deadly. A flaming tempest that ate all in its path. I watched as red sparks bounced off armor, swallowed by snow. The white wonderland was painted with colors of a grisly, brutal nature. Oh. A hot wind fanned by the flames carried with them a strong stench of iron. The scent of which wafted from the trampled corpses lining the snow. At the center of it all was... Oh. Holy shit! Ignis! Holy crap, he's like... absolute carnage. The curt, heavy-handed... He's scary! This is scary! But most of all, kind Ignis. He and his aura shone a brilliant red. It was as if he was bathed in the blood of his foes. But how could that be? Relative to his ghastly appearance, there weren't too many corpses. What happened to all the others? Where did the blood come from? Oh no, he ate... Did he eat a bunch of people? Little by little, I urged my trembling self onward to look further up. The answer was right there. His mouth. Thick, viscous trails of blood dripped from the corners of his lips. When I looked closer, it looked as though he bit onto something into his mouth. After chewing a couple times, he gulped it down. Without having time to think, my instincts told me exactly what I was looking at. I choked with fear. I could hardly muster a loud scream. But he managed to pick up on what little sound I did make. Uh-oh. Wait, you're not safe! After subtly twitching his nose as if in reaction to my scent, his dreamy eyes darted over to me, a sharp, focused glance. He eyed me with a predatory gaze, like I was a delicious meal. Just as Ignis took a step forward, reading to lunge at me, the surrounding snow around him melted and evaporated as if devoured by him. I gasped out of panic and his body burst into flame. Kotone, stand back! Il stepped in front of me, but he had already used up all of his strength and was at his body's limit. He stood in front of the menacing wolf who had marched up to us without fear. The wolf laughed savagely. He dug his claws into his defenseless prey. Is this supposed to be the good ending? Oh! Splashes of red dispersed through the air. Wait, is he killing Il? Il's slender body was shredded and eviscerated by the frightening inferno. His angelic body dropped face down into his own pool of blood. Blood soaked his body and drenched the clothing around his inanimate self. He fell atop the crumbled remains of his black and white feathers. There was no hint of color or familiarity in Ignis's eyes, as the wolf looked coldly at his comrade. I couldn't even scream. Alas, I was falling apart. I was ready to collapse. Reality was too intense to face. I wanted nothing more than to cook for us. My teeny tiny dream, the small fantasy I had for the two of us. Ignis reached his hand over Il, who laid there collapsed in his blood. Ignis wrapped his finger around the angel's neck, lifting him up with ease. Is he gonna eat him? Then he opened his mouth wide. He slowly pulled Il's unconscious body towards his gaping maw. It was easy to predict what he was gonna do next. I climbed to the top of Bestia, hoping one day I could change it. If I could become the greatest fighter, without shedding any blood. I thought that maybe one day, it would inspire some beast out there. No! Please don't do this. Stop! Don't throw away who you are. Don't abandon your dream. Just before Ignis sank his fangs into Il's flesh, he tossed the angel aside. I felt compelled to protect Il, and I stood before Ignis with my arms outstretched. Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Come back, Ignis! This is not you! This isn't why you trained your entire life, is it? I cried out at Ignis, trying to appeal to him with the first words that came to mind. But... Gah. All my pleading could accomplish was redirecting the firewolf's ire towards me instead. Ignis! No! Interrupting my severe throbbing pain! Wait, is anyone gonna save her? This is the good end, right? Ignis sank his razor-sharp fangs into my arm. But I realized it a moment too late as my own blood splattered onto his face. Adrenaline numbed the pain, but my head spun. The only thing rooting me to my current predicament was the dreadful sound of my flesh being ripped apart. Ignis! Stop! My pleading voice never reached him. Ignis only sipped and licked the blood trickling down my arm and... He ripped a piece of flesh off me. Are we dead? This is changing perspectives. After neutralizing the Minotaurs, I'm guessing these are the other members. We hurried towards the Firewolf stronghold. What Miser and the rest of the party witnessed was... far-reaching patches of blood. Corpses thrown into haphazard piles. The relentless flames surrounding them. And... Elf was ill. Ill who lied on the snow, unconscious. His wings were torn and bald, and his atrocious injuries dyed his hair and clothing in blood. To the side, we saw him bite into Kotone's arm, ripping off her flesh. It was one of our fellow Enchante regulars. Our friend. Or so we thought. Ignis. Our once thought to be ally wiped the splattered blood off his face, shooting a fearless glance in our direction. You got that evil glint? As he stood there stunned, the quickest to react to the tragic scene was Canis. The swing of Canis' mighty sword blew Ignis back with a cannon's force. Under normal circumstances, the sheer power of Canis' attack would have torn Ignis' torso in half. But Ignis summoned walls of flames to dull the impact of the knight's incoming strike, sparing himself from harm. Ignis moved purely on instinct. He twitched, realizing the path to his prey was obstructed, and showed his fangs.
Wake up, Ignis!
Ignis kicked at the ground, lunging at a speed too fast for the naked eye. And... Kotone, freed from Ignis' grasp, fell to her knees in excruciating pain. Blood began to gush from her wounds, which she clamped with her free hand. The blood shows no sign of stopping. Canis and Ignis, meanwhile, were locked in a lightning-quick exchange of blows no human could see. Kotone! Ew! What's going on here? Miser and Rindo sprinted over to the two wounded members, hastily tending to their injuries. They eyed each other and rushed in. Rindo went to Kotone and Miser went to Ill. They first cast a simple barrier to shield them from any impact from the duel. Ill, hang in there! Miser clutched Ill's blood-soaked body in his arms and cried out his name. No soft-spoken words escaped the angel's lips, and his breath began to slow. Meanwhile... No small amount of blood began to pour down Kotone's slender arm. Kotone was succumbing to the traumatic shock from the punishing magnitude of pain. And her medic Rindo, whose brow began to sweat as the pressure mounted, hesitated, asking her to remain calm. Keep applying pressure to the wound. I'll apply some first aid. Rindo fell back onto a practical solution, eyeing and ripping his handkerchief from his person to fashion a makeshift clotter. Witnessing this, Miser... Damn! I am a destroyer. I do not possess the power to ease Kotone and Ill's pain. He gently stashed away his regret and set Ill upon the cold ground delicately. Then he switched gears, honing in on the sole mission to stop Ignis. He raised his hand. Try as he might, Canis' blade could not penetrate either of Ignis' blazing fists.
Well fought!
Although Canis' footwork was definitely tested by the pace of Ignis' heightened beastly movements. Canis blocked each of his foe's punches with ease, making the tense duel an even one. In the midst of all this, Canis, jump back as far as you can!
Oh, roger that!
He did as instructed and leapt back. Grrrg! Left open, Ignis reacted by immediately racing towards Canis, but... Whoops, sorry, just kidding! Once Miser barked out his command, a spell was cast and a large shadow swelled over Ignis' head. The shadow which belonged to a giant iceberg, which soon was flung at an alarming velocity, ready to crush the body of its target upon impact. However, with the power of his attuned reflexes, Ignis ignited the flames covering his body moments before impact. The flames burned at a temperature so intense the whole icy meteor nearly melted, dispersing into shattered chunks. But nevertheless, the immense impact and blast from the heavy ball of ice was felt. At last, Ignis' eyes returned to normal, indicating he had returned. Finally burned himself out. Oh no, it's Ignis' perspective. He's gonna be devastated. Oh man. It's like we're really getting like messed up here. Like we didn't get messed up in like the other route we did. It was loud. My head was being knocked around by some deafening explosion. Sharp bits of icicle floated down, tickling my skin. The red in my vision went away, reverting everything back to normal. Gah! I winced at a massive surge of shame. It occurred to me that I had no idea where I'd been the last couple hours. What was I doing? Where was I? Huh? What happened? What was I doing this whole time? Just as my vision cleared up and focus returned.
Ignis, You're back to normal.
Canis was the first to pop into vision. Canis, why are you pointing that sword at me? My breath left me as tall flames burned behind Canis and the smell of smoke stung my nose. Huh? Don't tell me! I refused to believe it. My throat tensed up. I couldn't speak. I looked around. Bodies of my kin and the corpses of the minotaurs are stacked atop each other. Right in front of me, the tip of Canis' sword was pointed, shaky and cautious. Miser and Rindo seemed guarded too. Laying next to Miser's feet, I saw Il, mangled and torn up, covered in blood. And the one Rindo held in his arms was Kotone? Kotone clenched the patched spot on her arm and her face filled with terror. As soon as our eyes met, I reflexively gulped down something that was still in my mouth. Huh? What was that? What did I just swallow? Why did I smell and taste of iron? Oh, Dromy!
Come on, you know exactly what it is. You know it's not healthy to be so delusional, don't you, bro?
A pair of feet tap danced lightly around the massacred ground, approaching me.
But man, talk about a view. How nice.
Dromy arrived, and unlike how Kotone looked at me fearfully,
this is what war looks like. What it truly means to be a beast. I knew it. Everything from that day is as real as I remember.
Dromy's eyes glowed with an intense awe, dumbstruck as the flames towered behind my bloody body. I watched Dromy for a minute, then tossed him a throwaway question. Dromy, are you the one behind all this? The Minotaurs in the human world. All the bloodshed that happened every time I set foot back in godforsaken Bestia. You're the one pulling the strings here? Just so that I'd break out into a rampage?
Yes, sir! Exactamundo. I knew you had some brains up there, bro. But man, I thought these humans were just pests. Turns out they got some use to them. It would have taken us ages if all you had to do was smell and bathe yourself was beast blood.
Hearing the words blood, Kotone's body jolted.
Anyway, we're getting off track. Time to wake up. Listen, bro. You beat the living crap out of those nice cafe regulars, and in the end, you feasted on that girl's arm. Not to mention the Minotaurs, too. Seems like you really enjoy devouring them, don't you?
He accused Ignis with a deranged smile. His ridiculous claim, it seemed, was the answer we were looking for all along. Devouring? A beast that eats. Stashed by the threatening veil of my ability to rampage was another more terrifying ability which I alone had. After all, the Minotaurs had to drug themselves just to make an attempt on my life. The truth was, no one knew why the firewolves disappeared all those years ago. But the cost of learning all this was just too great. God damn you! Fueled by nothing more than rage, I swung my fist at Dromy. But, whoa! Despite how many swipes I took at Dromy, he evaded each blow by a hair. But they weren't perfect dodges. I managed to yank his favorite bandana with my fist, and it glided to the ground. Oh. I get to see his forehead. Something weird happened. As if Dromy's expression changed at the drop of his bandana.
At last, my dream come true. That snively persona you have, the chain pushover regular and Enchante, is a fake. This is your true form, Catastrophe, a cannibalistic monster. That's who you are.
A cannibalistic monster? The words hit me in the gut. It was time I accepted my destiny. I caused the destruction of this place. I dropped to my knees. The crimson-stained snow. The sobering stench of charred iron. To think of all those who fester inside of me. Ugh, all the people he ate. I tried my best to purge my body of all of it, but I couldn't. Despair. Loss. Rage. These emotions are shoved down my throat, ready to burst on a whim. Ugh! I roar so loudly that the heavens quake. But there's there to make a mockery of it all is, of course,
Come on! This pathetic wasteland is ready to blow! Your time has come, Ignis Carbunculus! Or should I say, the Reborn? The World Devourer, Doom Incarnate, Vanar!
the heretic of doom had resurrected in fire. Oh, holy crap! Alright, we're on the fourth and final chapter of Ignis' route. I don't know what? Okay, well, we know who the traitor is. Seems to be a theme. A traitor in every route. Although, Vania had a good reason. Dromy, I can't say Dromy has a very good reason. Other than he just wants to watch the world burn. Whew, anyway. Yeah, that was not very relaxing, but... I hope you had an exhilarating time watching this episode. And we'll do the fourth and final part in the next one. Alrighty.
Bye-bye.